At this point, what I recommend is you go to your manual. It's on our website on the homepage under manuals and guides. I'm starting on page 16. This section starts on 14. But I use this, and it's in your notes on your handout. Everything that's there is copied straight from this manual because it tells you they're perfect instructions as far as telling you exactly what you need to do, what you can include, what you can't include as we go through this process. So the first piece is pretty straightforward because it's going to autofill from what you've already done. This is autofilling. This should look familiar to you. Line 1, we're going to hit reload. Line 2, let it default. If you need to change that, you can, but we'd only be doing that for quarterly billing or something like that. So let it default. You can hit reload on line 3. That is going to be your total number of students enrolled in the district. If you do that today, nothing's going to happen. So for line 3 and 4 and 6, we're waiting on that special ed tuition cost sheet data. So that's the one I said, hopefully the end of the month. So when that comes out, you're going to hit reload. You're going to see your total population. Hit reload. You're going to see your December 1 child count. Reload for your calendar and reload for your per cap. Very easy. Okay. You don't provide anything here. For line 1, you already did this work. Okay. That came from the S5066B. All right. So that's for the first portion. Second portion, this is everyone's favorite. You're going to hit reload amounts up here at the top. It's going to bring line 7 from your P5066B. That's going to be the total instruction for the people that we attach to the program. So when we took your teachers and your aides that are on the program, we put their salaries in the personnel section and we added them to the program. That's all of that added together. It's the grand total. It's going to have everything included, and we're not going to see the receipts come out till down at the bottom. So this is going to be the grand total. So if it looks high to you, you know you had federal funds in there or something like that, just wait. We'll take it away later. For lines 8 through 24, we're going to use the AFR today. I know that some of you, I've already had some questions about districts who were with co-ops last year. They don't have those types of expenditures on previous year. The new one's not ready. So if you have to use general ledger this year, that is fine. You can do that, okay? But we want to make sure that if you have these expenses, please get them on here somehow. All right, can you include a speech path in the program if they are in the program the entire day? Yes. As long as as long as every student that they see is attached to that program, you can do that. If they're in there all day, I mean, that seems okay. As long as that's a little different than just saying, oh, we have a speech teacher and I'm going to put them in this program, and they see 200 kids and you've got 30 kids in the program. That's not going to work. And it's also and even using an salary allocation on speech people, that's not true either. Because you're still line 1 is still should be different than that. Okay, so all right. For lines 8 through 24, we're going to look at the AFR. I'm going to pull it up and show you how you can get it off ISB's website. Again, we got real hung up on this in the last session, and I don't want to do that this time. So I'm going to show you how to do it. And then if you have trouble when you get in there, then just let us know, and we'll send you those instructions, and we will help you get into it. Okay, so when you go to ISB's website, I just come up here in the search and I type AFR. Something is wrong with this computer. Obviously, I apologize. I don't know why it is so slow. It's a brand new computer. So something is running or something's happening. Okay, so I type in AFR, I hit search. I'm going to click on annual financial report. It's the very first results. Okay, and I'm going to scroll down here. We're going to click on historical archive, annual financial reports. Scroll down again. Oh, not that far. Okay, so you're going to see AFRs right here. We're going to click on this FTP server, but it tells you right here, click this link, enter this FINREAD in the username, no password. So you click on this. So in the username, this is for everyone. It's not unique to anybody. And then no password and sign in. Okay, here's the AFR. I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom to get to last year's. Click on the year. We're going to go to school districts. Okay. And although all of my paperwork says Harrisburg, I did have to use Carmi's AFR this year because Harrisburg and some of our other districts are in a lurch this year. Their auditor is ill, so. So once this opens, anytime you download something from the internet, you have to click enable editing. So once this comes to life, you want to do that up at the top. Then down at the bottom, we're looking at expenditures 16-24. Click on that tab. And we're going to scroll up here. And for this one, we're looking right here about on line 37. This is where the support services start. And these are the expenditures that we're looking for. So I'm going to keep this on the screen. You look at your 5066A. Look at the expenditure section. And we are going to just do a couple of these. So the first thing that you need to look at is column B has your function number. You're going to see function numbers on your 5066A. Anything that is on that form, if you find data for it here, you can use it. But what data can you use? So look at all these columns. Which ones can you use? That's where your manual comes in. So on page 16, you can always use 100. So you can see salaries, benefits. You can use 400 and 600 always. So the dollar amounts that are in those columns you can add together. But you see other columns, right? Well, first we're going to focus on purchase services. So column 300, and that's what it's going to tell you on 16, that you can use purchase services for certain function numbers. So be sure that you're doing that. If you see purchase services in some function numbers that are not in this list, you have to deduct that. Okay, so it's anything else. 100, 200, 400, and 600 you can always use. But if you see anything else, you cannot use that, okay? All right, I got a couple questions, so I'm gonna get caught up here with you guys. All right. Okay, first time ever when I asked our business manager for program cost, I was given cost per 1.0 ADE and indirect cost rate per 1.0, and finally a total cost per 1.0. You only need the single number. You need the cost per 1.0 ADE. We don't, I mean, the indirect costs would probably include, I would think the indirect, well, I'm not sure, but you only need the total cost per 1.0 ADE. We just need to know the cost of the program. And this is last year's AFR. If you already have a copy of it, you don't have to go here. Our AFR doesn't have data for objects 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for 2020 AFR. Okay, you need to be looking at the 2021 AFR. If you still have that issue, I would have to take a look because I don't know what's going on. Yeah, look at 2021, and you should have those expenditures. You've not been with a co-op, so you should have special ed expenditures. Okay, so again, make sure you're looking at page 16 when you are determining what numbers you can take. So for, let's look at, on your cost sheet right now, you'll first see a 2112 and a 2113. All right, that's for attendance and social work. But a lot of districts have attendance and social work combined under a 2110. Our example does. So what do you do in that situation? In that situation, you're going to use the add other function at the bottom, so you can see where I did that. You check the box, you type in the 2110, and you type in the amounts. Okay, so in this example, we took the 10,006 plus the 8379, and you should see that total at the bottom. It's in the regular ed column. So that's how you would do a 2110 if you don't see 12 and 13. Next, you would be then looking at guidance services, 2120, and then you look here, okay, for purchase services, you start with social work, health, psych, speech. You go all the way through here and you're going to see guidance services, you cannot include the 300. So what do? We take the 100, 200, 400, add those numbers together, and that's what you're going to put on your cost sheet. So you see two columns there. You see a special ed column and a regular ed column. Also tells you in your instructions, you can always put lines 9, 12, 13, and 18 expenditures under special ed. Okay. Okay, for social work and attendance, what if that is not the actual total? I just have to take a look at it and see what the number is. If you want to send an email to me, I can look at it and see what may be wrong. Okay. So now you're going to continue to do this for the functions that you see throughout here. You're going to determine what can I take from here, add them together, and put them on the 5066A under a let's see here. Gotta find my PowerPoint. Okay. All right. So Okay, so keep in mind when I use, so typically I use Harrisburg's AFR. All right. Again, although everything says Harrisburg, this year I had to use another local district, which is Carmine. So remember that we are a part of a co-op down here. So all of our districts are member districts of that co-op. So they provide a lot of our special ed services for us. So if my numbers seem low on here, that's why. Okay. So we may have a social worker that just works part-time for us because they jump around to different districts. Okay. So yes, 10K probably does seem very low for a social worker, but it's just a portion of what they make from different districts. So keep that in mind when you're okay. It's a good point. You don't say you're sorry. You're fine. But it is a good point when you're looking at my numbers. You got to remember, you know, we're a little bit different. The farther down states you get, the more common it is. So I'm just used to that. But no, you're fine. Okay. So we're looking here. Again, I want you to remember social work. If you have a 2113, psych services, speech path and audiology, and special area admin. Lines 9, 12, 13, and 18. You want to put your totals under this column. Everything else has to go under regular ed. Okay, so remember that. Down at the bottom, once you get all of your expenditures entered, if you do have equipment that you purchased for this program specifically this year, and it's $5,000 or more, then you will depreciate it over 5 years. Remember that depreciation schedule we saw earlier? You're going to use that. If you purchased equipment that was under $5,000, you're going to take that dollar amount and add it on to your instruction cost at the top. Okay? All right, moving along. Next is going to be for operation and maintenance. We're trying to figure out what the infrastructure costs for this program. So we're going to take all 2540 expenditures. So what you do on that same tab on the AFR, if that's what you're going to use, hit Control F on your keyboard and type in 2540. You're going to see that 4 times on that worksheet. Okay? It tells you in the manual what you can use and what you can't as far as your objects go. But you can use all totals from all 4 of those 2540 expenditures that you find. So make sure you're getting all of them. You're going to put that total here. You're going to hit reload on line 27. That number comes from the worksheet that has the per caps and the counts in it. So if you hit it now, you're probably not going to see anything. All right. It's going to calculate the cost per classroom. On line 29, you're going to remember back to your program. How many teachers did you attach? So how many teachers are on your P5066B? How you look at that number, and that's the number you're going to use here. Next, this will default to depreciation in assumption that you own, but if you don't own the property, then you're going to change it to rent and put in the amount. So now we have come up here at the bottom with our total expenditures. So these are the total costs for the program so far. This is for the program. We're going to get to our orphan, okay? But this is just for the program so far. Now here come these ugly offsets that we talked about earlier. So we have to take this off. These are the costs we've come up with, but we're going to have to deduct things that didn't come from the local pocket. So you're going to see these numbers again from that P5066B that we already generated. So hit reload and these will fill in. Next, you're going to jump to the bottom and hit calculate and save. And you're going to see we now have a line 37. So we're saying that a student that is in this program that is 100% special ed, they're in the program every day that it runs. So I think we were at 174, so they were there every day. 100% special ed, 1.0 FTE, means their ADE is 1.0 as well. That's what it costs for their tuition only. Okay? Just for their tuition to be a member of this program. That's the cost. That's the maximum. All right? So remember, I talked about all these things with blended and remember your individual costs and all those good things, okay? Because This isn't the end of the claim. All right. So if I said you can't have a blended program, you cannot have this process for a blended program. So you're not going to have the tuition part for the program, but you can have the individual costs on the claim record. Okay. So remember that. So right now we know what the maximum tuition is in this program. What's going to happen next is we're going to go back to our program definition and we're going to hit recalc program. What happens then is it takes this number and it goes to the claim records that are attached to the program. So remember when we made that S5066B, that student report, it's looking now and saying, okay, I got to find Johnny the orphan. Where's Johnny the orphan? Here he is. And I'm going to go to that record and I'm going to say, oh, what is your percent special ed? How many days were you there? What's your FTE? So it's going to take the 28,234. If they're in kindergarten through 12th grade, it's going to look at the percent time they were in the regular classroom. So it may get higher, okay? Because if they're K through 12, they're also entitled to a percentage of the per cap for the time that they are in regular ed, physically in regular ed, okay? So it could increase, it could decrease. How can you see what's happening? Run your 5066C. After it goes through the program part, then it's going to look on the claim record and say, do we have an aid cost? Do we have contractual cost? Do we have anything else we can add on to this? Transportation. Okay. So if you look at that 5066C, it's going to tell you exactly what happens once we hit that recalc program and what happens to the claim record. Okay. So what you do at that point is you look at that claim record and you're going to see, well, I did all this work and now here's my claim. I know that this orphan that I have, somebody didn't give me a bill and tell me. Somebody didn't hand me some paperwork from the business office and give me the ADE. I figured it out and now I know Johnny my orphan cost X amount and this is what my claim's going to be.